So I watched Darling and Franxx, and I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty interesting. And when I say I watched it, I only watched like 2 episodes so far, but I will be creating multiple videos just to give out my opinion throughout the whole entire show. So you can basically hear my mood change about it, so you'll basically hear a roller coaster of emotions. So anyways, we can just get started with this. So we see 02 being clingy with bro already, and they must be childhood friends. That I can say that for sure, but I may be wrong about that. Give you a fair warning, I did see some clips about this show, so I may be very wrong. Not to mention she licks him, lucky him, and they were basically chatting until her partner came along, and she does not care about him at all, which I mainly see why, because it sounds like they're mainly forced to be with that one person, which we can already see a lot of problems later on.
Flashback.
So we already see bro failing with his partner, what a shocker. So now they're basically deciding to go and leave. So his old partner decided to give all her stuff to him, because she'll believe that he'll actually stay. So when she was about to depart, she got hit with something very unfortunate, and when she got hit with this type of BS, I instantly felt so bad for her, and they just had an emotional moment, and it's all because of this monster. So while they're trying to shoot it down, it basically crashed into the place, destroying everything. And bro managed to survive all that, because why not? He's the main character, and he started to book it like he's Courage. So the monster found the other mech, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were gonna do them dirty how they did to that one person, but then I realized she's one of the more important characters, and then they got saved from a mech that came off from off screen, and then started munching on a monster like Gordon Ramsay cooked the food. But then it got knocked off, and it was about to do a whole beam clash, but they lost it, and we see dude fall out of the mech with a reboot card, and we see 02 injured. So she basically told him to leave that dude because he's basically finished, and she plans to do it solo. So bro managed to go and convince her, and now he's officially her darling. So the monster tried to cut their chatting away, but it was a little bit too late because they got a whole upgrade, and they chucked it across the map with finesse, and that's when a new version of a mech is now formed. And I'm not gonna lie, when I seen this I got hyped. You know her old partner was not putting in no work, so you know the monster's not trying to let that slide, but they were just sitting there not caring the world. So they used the spear to check out the monster, but they were not done with that because they charged in like they're Reinhardt and did an ultimate finisher for it, and it was basically game. So we have Hiro walking back, and we have Ichigo waiting for him. And the main reason why, because she has a thing for him. But another reason why she was waiting, because she wanted to go confirm something. And that was if bro was piloting the mech with 02. Sorry to tell you very bad news, but he did, in the best way possible. So she told him to stay far away as possible out of pure jealousy, especially because of the rumors that's going on top of that. But bro does not care, and he's going to do his own thing. But then Goro came out and told him that a certain someone's in there. And guess who it was? 02 herself, munching on food and not caring anything in the world but her darling, which she decided to go sit with him to have her eating experience better.
It should have been me, not him. It's not fair.
So once they were done sharing their moment, their caretaker decided to go come in and interrupt what they were doing. And to be honest, it was either her or Ichigo who was going to do that. But that's when they had to go and leave for now.
Meanwhile,
we got this dude jealous over Hiro that he's able to go and pilot before anyone else. And trust me, he gets mad later on. And same thing goes for Ichigo as well, all because of 02. Once they got done changing, they bumped into 02. So she decided to go analyze Ichigo real quick. And when she got done licking her, she told her that she was delicious. Don't look at me, I didn't make this story. Then she went off in her merry way.
A few moments later.
So dude had some beef with Hiro, and he immediately tried to start the first fight. So Hiro's not trying to let that slide, and he was ready to fight him on sight after he lost his composure. But of course they had to be stopped for good reason. But after that commotion, they received a call for a meeting, and the meeting was for a test for Hiro to become a parasite. So 02 wants to go and try to help him out, but Ichigo would not let her. And main reason why, because she wants to be his partner instead. So of course they accepted Ichigo's request. So instead of 02 being angry about it, she basically gave her a whole warning saying you better have fun with him, and left. And when you know she's not worried like that, something's bound to happen. But anyways, we want to be Hiro's opponent for the test only because of what happened from earlier, and they're planning on doing his test later on tonight.
3 hours later.
It's the day of Hiro's test, and things looking good for Hiro and Ichigo, and everyone's shocked or happy until this happened. And when I mean everyone was happy and shocked, I truly mean everyone was happy and shocked. Cause 02 already knew what was going on. So Hiro starts to panic, and Ichigo is wondering how they worked last time. Hiro was saying that he kissed her, and then went off from there. But here's the problem, she don't know what a kiss is. So he basically goes and explains it to her, and her plan was like, if 02 can do this, I can do it as well. And so they did a thing, and once they got done doing that, Hiro said that he felt absolutely nothing, and at that point she felt depressed about that, but that also gives the enemy the upper edge, and dude was ready to go and finish them off, but her partner came up with a save to stop him from finishing them off. So while Ichigo was stressing out, 02 had the audacity to go in the call and start to yawn. The amount of disrespect is crazy. So Ichigo got desperate and started charging at them towards the wall, KOing the both of them. And we have Zero Two walking away knowing that she's right all along. And after all that happened, Hero had the audacity to say I'm sorry, but she knew it was not his fault, and she was feeling about how Zero Two already knew this would happen, leaving Zero Two on top. After the whole incident happened, we seen them with each other and it was kind of awkward, especially going out like that. But she was like, don't worry about it, and she left.
A few moments later.
Hero started to have a conversation with bro, and he wanted to tell Ichigo it's not her fault for what happened, since he's her partner. And he rightfully asked him what happened, but he kept it under wraps for good reason. A whole drama war was avoided. Right after that commotion, we see them talking about Hero in a situation, but that's when Ichigo came by and everyone went silent. And she was like, let's respect Hero's decision, since he only wants to rock with Zero Two, and she don't want this decision to affect them in the future, but knowing damn well something will happen. And that's the end of their meeting. See Hero practicing, and we see Zero Two watching him the whole time, but when she got done, she decided to go and wait for him. And the main reason why, because she wanted to show him something, and that's exactly what she did. They even bypassed some barriers that Hero really couldn't go through. Once they made it to the destination, she showed Hero this special view, and there's one main reason why she brought him towards the destination, to ask him if he wanted to go run away with her. And bro was speechless on what to say, but she brushed everything aside and said that she was joking, even though we all know she wasn't. But after that, we're about to get into the real action, because they were gonna call it in for a meeting to put them in a mission, and they had to destroy these monsters like they're from Metro Prime. But here's the thing, Hero and Zero can't go, so the rest had to deal with it without them. So that's what they all did, well, until one of them had a problem, so that just leaves another mech out. So it was a 3-mech mission. So once they managed to find their target, they quickly rushed it and went for a team combo, and all of it worked so far. Well, until they started to celebrate early, and Zero Two gave a warning about they shouldn't have done that. And they were wondering why is that, but it was already too late because one of them got a Foxy jump scare, leaving one of them knocked out of the fight. That's when they started to panic, and they quickly finished off one of them. But here's the issue though, there was multiple of them as well on top of that. So while all that was going on, Zero wanted her and her darling to go after them, but they kept on refusing because of Hero. So this dude was in pure confidence saying that he should rock with Zero instead of him. And the crazier part, Hero agreed, because all that self-doubt that he has. And the worst part about everything, he's going to try rub salt on the wound, and he said that he's going to ride with Zero Two better. But this kid don't know what's going to happen to him.
Meanwhile.
So one of them managed to finally wake up, but they were still in a bad spot. So they had to go wait until Zero comes by. And they received news that she's coming by as well. But there's one person who doesn't like the announcement. And it was basically Ichigo herself. So since she's feeling that type of way, they can't probably work the mech. And so she's basically throwing the mission all because of jealousy. And I tell you, if my life gets thrown away just because of her, I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna have some problems. Straight up going to haunt her 25-8. But they managed to run for a little bit until they all got cornered. And at that point, I would have been fuming. But what can they really do in this situation? But once they were all frightened by the biggest bird showing up, Zero Two managed to show up just in time, destroying the biggest one that's also the biggest threat. But they were all glad they got saved except for one, because she still wanted to know who was inside. But that one dude that had the biggest ego willingly announced that it was him that was with her and not Hero. So while Zero Two was saving all of them, he was quickly to diss on his old partner and Hero himself. But things come at a price when you have an ego that big though, because once he dissed her darling, she was like, alright bet little bro, how do I take things like plankton and make it overdrive? Keep this in mind, he was barely keeping up with her. So once she said that, he was spooktified. And it's bad to the point they had to go rush to get him out. Not because of the monsters, because of Zero Two herself. So once they were retrieved out, we see Zero Two perfectly fine, but a dude that had a big ego had everything come after him. Straight deserved, by the way. And to add salt on the injury, Zero Two talked down on him on top of that. We already start off this episode with bro being traumatized, and I'm not gonna lie, he deserved everything what happened to him. Am I wrong about that?
No.
Anyways, once Hero tried to go and talk to him, he immediately grips him up and say that how he can deal with her. But here's the thing, he's not the main character, so he wouldn't know. And we're already seeing how the last two winded up. I guess you can say they didn't have the energy for her. Come on, I found it funny, okay? I seen an opportunity. But they had to go put him back just because of how traumatized he was. But that whole interaction made Hero rethink about Zero Two. It was to the point that he couldn't look at her properly. Trust me, she noticed in how he acted. So instead of her doing nothing about it, she decided to go catch him lacking and confront him about it. But during all that, they got interrupted by an emergency. So that's when everyone gathered around like the Power Rangers. Yes, even the traumatized one. And they went out to go after that monster. So Zero and Hero decided to go rush in, wanting to go into the action, but the leader refused to. In fact, she had other plans for her instead, because she got guards to raid their place to escort escort 02 out of there to the front line. And sadly, she had no choice but to go. When she left, Hero felt some type of way and chased after her. But then the good part for Hero, he managed to find them, but the bad part, he can't go through. So of course, bro had to pull off a Naruto and use Talk No Jutsu, and his Talk No Jutsu worked 100% because once she heard everything, she took one of the guards' weapons and making her escape plan, making her go 10 out of 10 for style points. Once they made it inside to their mech, they received a warning to get out of there, but they both didn't care, and they went off to the battlefield. So once they made it to the battlefield all late like a true hero, they were all struggling already, till Hero and Zero came by and speed blitzed them out of there. Once everyone was safe, they decided to go continue on with their plan. But Wormy 2.0 was not trying to have that and started to run away, but they were both not trying to play cat and mouse, so they chased him inside and gripped his whole body out of there. Once they realized it was like a huge worm, Ichigo managed to have a plan, and it was basically locking the worm down so it can't move. Once they all managed to lock it down, Ichigo let Hero and Zero go for the finisher. That's basically what they did, and it was basically game. Ending everything with pure finesse. Honestly, I see why this anime is interesting, and all I gotta say, Ichigo, you're mad desperate. I get why you trying to be all this and that, but listen, he has Zero. You don't need to do all this. I know you already have a partner already, but hey, that's not my room to talk. There's probably more in depth into it instead of like them being a childhood friends. But yeah, this anime is mad interesting, and I'll either do Cyberpunk or Guilty Gear next. One of those two. Either or. I really do hope that you enjoyed this type of video. If you did enjoy it, I'd like to appreciate it. Share your nice, make sure to comment down below your thoughts about this. But that's besides the point though. I hope to see you next time in a different video. If not, I hope you have a good life. I love y'all.